Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience tuning in Mississippi or those joining us online around the world thanks to iHeartRadio. We're glad you all could be with us as well. I'm excited to welcome Christopher Kit Lang to our program today to talk to us not only about his journey in front of the camera, but also what it's been like for him as a writer and producer to be a part of a great project called Battle Scars that's out now. We'll let you guys know about the film, what it's been like for Kit to do what he loves when it comes to producing and creating, and also, of course, let you guys know how to stay connected with him when it comes to updates on what's coming up next for him as well in his career. Kit, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, the pleasure's definitely all mine, Kit. We're going to get into Battle Scars here in a moment, but what I'm so excited about when I first heard about this film is that, you were able to do what so many people just talk about. Let's talk about that for a moment. I mean, you're not only, as I said, active in front of the camera, but also being able to work behind the camera. What has it been like for you, Kit, to set these goals for yourself and to see those goals being realized?
Well, it's really hard. It really is. Making a film is certainly its own feat and a challenge, and it definitely has been its own journey. This movie was certainly an education for me. At that, it was a feat. It was a long haul, and it was its own sort of battle in itself. As you know, Battle Scars is a war movie. It's a drama. It's crime. It's got a lot of different elements in it, and we made a lot of mistakes as sort of newer filmmakers with the film, because typically when you're doing a independent film, you're not tackling things like we did, which is like these grand sort of scopes, like periods, were set across a few decades, mostly throughout the 60s and the 70s, the Vietnam War, things like that. So it was truly a monumental task.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny to hear you say that, Kit, because I thought about that when I was prepping for this. I got a chance to read a couple of interviews you've done for this film, because, one, I didn't want to ask you the same questions everyone's asking you, but also, two, because I thought it would be interesting, right, to kind of get your perspective of, kind of hindsight being 20/20. I think one of the interesting things about what you just said from a creative standpoint is how exciting that is to do it afraid. So I guess I'll ask you that. Have you always been a person willing to tackle the challenge, not knowing how the outcome is going to be?
Yeah, you picked up on that. I take risks, and sometimes sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and we jumped into this thing. And it was definitely risky, but we're very proud of it, and we did our best to make the most impactful version of this ultimately. And we're so thrilled and grateful and excited to be sharing that now with everybody, with the world.
Exactly, especially, as I said, with the world now being able to spend more time at home, whether they want to or not. They can be able to take out the time to be able to enjoy films like Battle Scars. So take us back a little bit here,
Sure.
Kit. I mean, when did you first realize that the creative process, I won't even say acting because you kind of do a little bit of everything, but when did you realize the creative process was something you were attracted to?
I think that so I'm first an actor, but I think for any storyteller, I think the idea is that, when you get the opportunity to tell a story and it affects somebody, I think that's sort of this gift or this wonderful opportunity where you're like, I'm able to share a story with people. And being a part of sort of the process beyond acting for me was an exciting challenge and an education, as I said. But in this case, I sort of fell into it. It wasn't necessarily, there was an interest there, but I sort of fell into doing that with this project. And now thanks to this project, I'm now, depending on any given project, I'm now doing that more than I ever thought I would. So it was something that I never sort of sought out necessarily to do, coming from sort of the stage first as an actor, and then moving into a TV and then film, and now being able to sort of be a part of that creative process, both in writing and in producing, where there is creativity as well, but mostly It's sort of the business of it. Other than that, I would say as an actor, like gives you the opportunity to sort of grab the wheel a little bit more, and opens more doors for you to sort of execute and do more work.
Yeah. And I think, too, to do more work on your own terms, which I think for any creative is definitely something that we love to be able to do, right? I mean, the less people we have that can tell us no, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And as great as that sounds, it also comes with its own harder challenges, too. So, there are times where I'm just absolutely feel blessed and grateful. All I have to do is just, read the script and act. So, it's like a passion. When you have an intense passion for something, and you feel a need that you have to tell this story, and you will go above and beyond to get the story told. And those are the projects that I try to do when I'm doing those other things. Otherwise, totally thrilled and excited, as I said, to just be one of those parts, like acting, like just totally excited to just sort of pick up and a role and play an interesting part. But when there's a story that has that need and a passion for that, like in this case, in Battle Scars, that was the case. It was something that we felt we had to tell the story, particularly with its relevance to PTSD and so on.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned about the PTSD element. I want to say, though, for those who are just tuning in, is on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Christopher Kit Lane to our program today. We're talking to Kit not only about his journey in front of the camera, but also working behind the camera, as he's been able to do in the new film that's out called Battle Scars. We're going to let you guys know how you can be able to watch it. So let's talk about the why with Battle Scars, then, Kit. What was it about this particular film, where it was set, that made you say this was a project that you definitely wanted to bring to life?
I think it was a process. It was so Sam Gonzalez, the director, and myself, has shared a mutual passion for films, and Sam is actually a combat veteran, an Iraq war veteran, and him and I had multiple discussions. Actually, we were working on this script while he was still serving on the base. At that time, he was stateside. He was serving at the in the I believe it was the Fort Hamilton, if I'm not mistaken. It was on the base, and he was an MP. So we would be writing a script while I would sort of sneak on the base, and probably not supposed to be doing that, but we'd sneak on the base and work on the script together, and just sort of talk about these stories and figure out a way to tell a story we felt that was engaging and that was an honorable story for a soldier, really, a soldier story, so to speak, and a veteran story. And one of the things that I learned through my friendship with Sam was that he was diagnosed with PTSD, and it was this widely misunderstood disorder, just widely misunderstood. And I frankly didn't understand it. I don't because it's so misunderstood. I understand why so many people don't understand it, and we felt ultimately that. We felt this would be a good idea to tackle, to do that. And part of the reason why we chose this period, which was the Vietnam War, was because there was no term. There was no PTSD didn't exist before the 80s, I believe it was. And so we didn't. It's this sort of invisible, faceless thing, and we didn't want to give it a name. We wanted to give an experience. And then, okay, now we have a label for it. Now we have a term for it. Now we can identify it. But I think that was our goal, and that's that was our hope.
Yeah. Well, and now you've been able to do it, and the reason why I want to go into that a little bit, Kit, is because I think it'll help our audience look at the title a little bit differently, right? So we're not just talking about the physical battle scars, the ones that people can see. We are talking about the impact, right, that can have, any trauma can have on individuals, but especially those dealing with war. So what was it like for you to see the final cut? What was that like for you to see it all come together?
It's a great feeling once you've got the film on the can. And so, I have this funny thing as an actor. It's like, you ever hear yourself on an answering machine, and you're like, oh my God, is that how I sound like? I can't stand it. So I kind of have that when I don't like watching myself. So, because, we're so like critical of ourselves, and you're like, did I really do I really look like that, or do I have that face, or whatever? So, but ultimately, like when in time you get over that and get past that, and it doesn't matter, and you just sort of focus on, okay, wait, am I actually, am I serving the text? Am I telling a good story here? But as a creator, it is a huge relief once your footage and your movies in the can. You sort of get to the next stage. Once you're in post production, and when you see it all put together, it's this relief. Like, okay, is this working? Does this work? And then it does create a different kind of anxiety, because you're still like, okay, we have to test this and see, like, okay, was this all in our head, or is this actually like going to work? So, but there's an element of sort of pressure that's now off, and it's like the next stage, and now you want to sort of test it and get it out there and see how it's going to do. And so, you're sort of biting your nails, particularly when it comes to like the screenings and premieres, which was what we did. We screened it and premiered it and tested it, and we would tweak it and adjust it based off of some of that response. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I want to talk to you about then, Kit, appropriately, then I think that's a great segue, is releasing a film in the world of COVID. I think it is no secret to anyone that a lot of us are on our devices a whole lot more these days, which is perfect for content creators like you, because people are looking for something new. There's only so many cat videos you can watch without feeling weird, and so it's great. It's great to be able to have something else to watch. So how do you feel like this period has served you well as a creator? I want to turn it into a positive. How was this, in many ways, the perfect time for something like this for you?
Okay, well, starting with the negative, turn it positive, is that we lost our theatrical release. So which was challenging, because then it didn't get to go into theaters, and we really were excited about that theatrical experience. So then we had to shift gears and go positive and go, okay, now it's going on this digital world. And so it sort of honed us in on that strategy and that market to sort of get it out to people that would want to, at this point, rent the movie, watch the movie, or buy the movie. And so we, what happened with the entire industry is that the type of demand for VOD, video on demand, rentals, digital renting of films has skyrocketed. It's gone way up. So that's been really positive and very exciting. And it right now for the entire industry is sort of one of the main sources of revenue you could do to sort of recoup your budget. And so we're just now in this phase. So we're very excited and sort of learning now, figuring out how to compete, because there's also a lot of competition, as because everybody is now focused on that on these platforms. So it is a crowded field, but it in a way, I think the positive takeaway is that people do rent and watch movies online, and that's it's an exciting prospect and has a lot of potential. So we're doing our best to focus on that.
Right. Right, and I think it's a great thing, and I'm totally with you. I think for myself in particular, and well, I'm a big nerd though. So I don't know if you can go by me. I'm used to watching things at home myself anyway. I'm not personally big on the theater experience, so for myself that has not been a big adjustment because I don't like people talking to me during projects. I like to be able to enjoy them for myself. So for people like me, it's perfect. But I can imagine, as you said, I mean,
and you have the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, exactly right. But I will say this too. What is also so great, right, is that the instant feedback. And so, how do you think this is kind of, because everything I think is a learning curve especially for those in the creative community, right? So, how do you feel like social media and what you've learned this year will help you as you move on to the next project?
I think so. In terms of getting the response you're referring to,
right? The response and even ways of being able to share, future content. Because one of the things I've noticed, Kit, when speaking to different creatives, especially the past several months, is they're like, you know what, going straight to to digital platforms may not be such a bad idea. When it comes to, being able to share to a larger audience and even cut down on
faster,
some costs.
Right.
So I'm just curious for yourself, how does it kind of help you in kind of reshaping what is success in this process?
Well, a couple things. So on one hand, it sort of speeds up this process, which is interesting. There is a hunger for content. And so, it when it comes to creating the content, we start to think of ways to be able to tell a more effective story sort of more efficiently or faster, so to speak, because the turnaround can be a little faster now with that instant sort of response. Whereas, before, and not to say that it doesn't take time now, but the sort of the windows are shorter now. So, it's an interesting gauge now that you can move a little quicker, I think, with this process, and multitask that as well. And then as far as success with any given project, I think that the ways that you can get and bring attention to your project are become more of a focus now, particularly in any given field, and not that it wasn't before, but now with this sort of digital revolution going on, I would say that I think that one of the things that has sort of opened my eyes is that the different communities online, and you mentioned social media, it's having more of a presence and connecting to your communities in a more effective and a stronger way, because there's something for everybody, right? There's something for everybody out there. And so finding essentially your audience with this and really connecting to them, I think is a good recipe for this.
I totally agree. And I think that's one of the cool things about it. And again, you're able to, in many ways, lead by example here, Kit, as to what's possible, because people can say, you know what, if he's able to have a premiere in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, what's stopping me from being able to do something?
Sure.
Sure. And I think that's the cool thing.
You can do it.
Right, you can do it. I think that's a cool thing. Again, everyone, Christopher Kit Lang has been our guest. We've been talking with him about his journey in front of the camera as an actor, but also behind this camera as well. The work that he's been able to do is really paying off. The new film is called Battle Scars. It's out now. So, Kit, how can our audience be able to enjoy the project and to be able to stay connected?
Right, yeah, guys, check it out. It's now on VOD platforms. So most platforms is available to rent or buy at the moment. It is also on DVD in most major Walmarts at the moment. So if you like DVD, you still use DVDs, pick it up at Walmart. It is there waiting for you. But as far as the VOD platforms, I mean, it's most platforms, also video on demand. So check it out, Battle Scars. There are 2 Battle Scars, so check out the 2020 Battle Scars. But it is on platforms such as Amazon, YouTube, Vudu, Google Play, iTunes, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. And how can I stay connected with you, Kit?
And then you check me out on Instagram. I am official Kit Lang on Instagram. The movie Battle Scars is also it's movie Battle Scars on Instagram. Also on Facebook, movie Battle Scars. We also have our website, battlescarsthemovie.com.
All right. Well, Kit, congratulations to you and the entire cast and crew on a really great project, really great messages you're able to share, and looking forward to having you back on the program again.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. I'm excited to be back. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Hey, glad to do it, man. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make today amazing. Take care.